Well, hey, and welcome to another episode of Beetle Dustino coming at you again today with yet another video. And we're going to talk again about some John Lennon here. And big surprise, I found a filming near me, a showing near me of one-to-one John and Yoko. So stay tuned and hear my thoughts on my experience going out to the theater and seeing it. So yes, one-to-one John and Yoko got a large theatrical release just this past weekend, starting on the 18th. It originally started showing on the 11th in IMAX theaters. Now it went to more theaters starting on the 18th here in the U.S. And I was kind of afraid no theater in my area was going to be carrying it. I thought if anyone near me, it was going to be Minneapolis. And I forgot to keep checking the theater in Fargo, North Dakota, which I absolutely love. It's a Marcus theater. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Marcus theaters. They really do a good job. I've been to AMC stuff. It's junk. Marcus is cool. Yes, it is a chain, but it's cool. And I was very excited that I was able to get to go see this there. And yeah, there's my ticket. I went and saw it last night as I'm filming this, but a couple nights ago as you're seeing this. And I really enjoyed it. I went with my mom. She really enjoyed it too. Right at time point, she kind of put the timeline together for me. I thought she was living in Germany at this point. My mom, right after she married my dad, my dad was in the Air Force and he was stationed in Germany. And he proposed to her through a friend that was coming back to the base near the town where my mom lived in Minnesota. So he kind of proposed kind of a weird way, and I started putting everything together, and I'm like, well, I know they always tell me that stuff that was going down in the States was stuff they kind of missed because they were living in Germany at the time. And, there wasn't like internet and, everything like we got nowadays. So, but yeah, she put the timeline together for me, and all this would have happened right before they got married. So she would have been here, but my dad would have been in Germany. So this was stuff he probably kind of missed out on. But also, where she lived, we also discussed this last night. She literally out her bedroom window could see Canada much better than she could say anything in the United States. So she lived right on the border, way up in northern Minnesota. And she would get CBC broadcasting, which I'm sure they were still carrying a lot of Canadian broadcasting. I'm sure they were still carrying a lot of this type of news, but I don't think they were big TV watchers either. So not in that time there. And so I don't know what all she got, But yeah, she thought it was really fun getting to see a portrait of 1972. And, right before a pretty big moment in her life, the concert itself was about a month before they got married, actually, when I, put two and two together with this. Pretty interesting, and, it was a fun moment to share with her, to get to go see that. And yeah, the film itself really is more a portrait of what was going on in the United States at the time than it was really about John and Yoko. I mean, it was them living in that moment, yes, so it still was a film about them, but it was a lot of American history there. American history of 1972 in general there. Yeah, it was really good. And, spoiler alert, I'm sure I'm going to say something here. If you haven't went and seen it yet, you're probably going to hear something in here that I'm not going to go through full thing on it because I didn't take any notes. This is all just off the top of my head from what I saw there. Yeah, it was a pretty good film. The one thing I really liked about it is the theater actually played it like I think it should have been audio wise, because that was the big thing going, was getting to see the footage from the one-to-one concerts and hearing the new mixes that Sean and Paul Hicks had done and everything, which yes were fantastic, absolutely fantastic. There was the scene with Give Peace a Chance and Stevie Wonder was out there, and I was just blown away with how perfect they had John's and Stevie's voices, to the forefront. And you could see the chaos on the stage there. I mean, good chaos, I guess, with everybody up there. But I was like, the fact that they weren't being completely drowned out, so them picking their voices out and being able to get them to the forefront there with the band and not all the other noise from the audience and all the people on the stage and that. So I was really impressed. But what I was really impressed about was the theater actually played it at a proper volume. Sad to say, Mom and I were the only ones in the theater. So I wish that more people were coming. I would have loved to have seen it with a few more people, but I guess her and I got to really have our conversation as we were watching it, make our commentary on it and not be afraid to, just talk in the theater, I guess. So, and, it was, really kind of cool with that. And I loved just the volume of it. When the concert scenes came on, it was like you were at a rock concert. And I'm kind of surprised they did that in that small little theater that they were filming this or showing this in. And not filming it, they didn't film it there. But yeah, that they were showing this screening of it in. And they did have the volume up nice and loud. I think what I'm really thinking on this is another film recently that I went to that was kind of similar with concert type footage was the One Hand Clapping, Wings, Paul McCartney. And that theater that I watched that in did not crank the volume. I was a little disappointed on that. It was... You could hear it well, but obviously, a theater, even at a normal volume, is going to be. But I would have wished they just had it just a little bit more. But when the rest of the film was playing, it was a pretty normal level. It was like, I would almost guess that was what the filmmaker did in the sound editing of the film itself, and that the theater kept it at a good level too. But yeah, the concert footage stuff, the audio really just boomed out at you. It was great. I loved it. Really, you could feel the rumble in the theater, and probably even with less people in there, probably with just the two of us in there, probably really got that rumble out there. So that was really kind of cool. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It really touched me on that. There's a scene in there that it's rough, going from watching John's emotions singing Mother, and I've heard the song a lot, and that song always gets me, even just off of the record there. But seeing him singing it and the emotions in his, you could just see how he was moved by it. You could see the audience members, how much they were moved by it. And then it went into the scenes about the news story they saw with Geraldo Rivera on the Willowbrook School and everything with that. And so you kind of got a 1-2, almost 3 punch, because then they showed the kids getting to go out and play and have their fun. And, I think they were probably volunteers that were out helping. At first, for some reason, it registered that maybe it was family members or something, but there was one lady, escorted one of the young girls onto the bus there and walked away, and you could tell that she was just almost like knowing what she was going back to. And and oh god, I was just bawling. I'm getting really emotional just talking about it again. So yeah, it really did move me, and I could see why John and Yoko were really moved to help these poor kids out. Mom really appreciated it too, because she did do almost like her retirement thing. She was worked for the Grand Forks Air Force Base Chapel for many years, almost 20 years, as a religious education coordinator. So kind of heading up Sunday school, a lot of the social events through the chapel, and stuff like that. She also, almost simultaneously as she did that, did about 20 years as in Head Start, and working with kids and families through that. She was a paraprofessional in the classroom at first, then she became a teacher, and then she became a parent. I can't remember the full title on it, but after she kind of retired from those about the same time, Mom has always had 2 jobs going. Crazy, 2 or 3. But she got working with a local agency here that does work with developmentally delayed people. My dad, after he retired from the Air Force, also got working with developmentally delayed people too. People like that would have been in that school, I've known and became friends with myself through my parents there, them working with the people in that. And so I think that really touched me. We had a school similar to that near us here, that a lot of these people had came from. that my parents had worked with. Especially, I know when my mom first got working, there were a couple ladies that were in this home there, school or facility, whatever you want to call it. And I know mom told me, and I had never heard this, part of the training that they went through was to watch some footage kind of like that to know what these people had went through. So that way, I suppose that didn't happen again, to educate people on that and know that, that's not cool. I guess the best way to say it, I didn't know she had seen stuff like that. So I guess that didn't shock her as much because she had worked with it. But she said that it really gave her true purpose. She always said it was kind of her calling, working with kids through the church, working with kids through Head Start, and then working with adults and children, younger adults, I guess we'll say, through what she did kind of up to the end there with her retirement. And I know my dad always felt really moved with it, was really happy he was able to help people like that out in a way and be a kind, good person to be around them. So, and knowing, I guess, what we went through with that. But yeah, I can see why they wanted to do this, and really it touched me a lot on that, and having a real personal connection with it, not as closely personal as my mom or dad had, but through my mom and dad, knowing that they did work with people like that. And yeah, I'm glad that people like my mom and dad were able to help people like that too. So yeah, but a really, really, really touching movie, a really touching bit of scenes there. And yeah, it was a really good film. I really enjoyed it. It really, with the other documentaries and stuff that have been out there about John and Yoko, I think there was a lot on there. The people versus the U.S. versus John Lennon film that came out quite a few years ago now. I had to kind of inform my mom on some of that. I said, have you watched that one with me? Because I watch a lot of this with her, but I know there's ones that'll slip by that she doesn't see with me all the time. And that one she hadn't seen. She wasn't aware of that. And I said, there's a lot that goes with that film that you're seeing here with the FBI tapping the phones, which was really kind of crazy that Sean was able to find those tapes to give to Kevin MacDonald to use in the film here. And, pointing that out, how they were being watched or listened to, I suppose, but they were being watched too. John talked about it in one of those conversations on the phone about how you'll see different people all the time kind of trailing them and that. Just crazy. And the fact that immigration stuff is in the news again. I said, walking out of there, I said, it's all right in the news again. All this that they're fighting, the stuff Nixon did, it's happening again. I hate to say it. And I'm going to just say this here. I'm not going to try to make too much political in that, but I was out yesterday morning, so the morning before I saw the film there, and I was out at joining everybody else around the country out at one of the hands-off rallies in our local town here, which I'm surprised we're hosting because of how conservative this area is. But yeah, I was out protesting and doing my American duty, United States citizens' duty, to rightfully, peacefully protest. And it really felt good. I participated the 2 weeks prior to the one before that, and I'm planning to be at every single one of these that are out there. So, not trying to make this political. This will probably be, hopefully, the only time I'll talk politics on here. But just, I really felt doing that morning and then going and seeing that film that, I'm still out there trying to fight the fight, I guess. And, peacefully and everything, exactly like John wanted to do, which was really cool to see that too, that he separated himself from Jerry Rubin's there when he realized that he had ulterior motives to what they were planning to do with the concert series, which was really kind of cool to see that they were planning that concert series around the country, freeing people from prisons, paying their bail and everything. I don't know how the logistics on that were really going to work, but, that's great. He was going to try something. And, and culminating at the Republican National Convention, which John didn't see as anything but being a demonstration. and a peaceful demonstration, and John and Yoko saw that as that, and Jerry Rubens was partnering with them on this, but he saw it as being something more, and John and Yoko separated themselves from him once they figured that out, and good for them, because yes, this stuff does need to be done peacefully, and I don't want to ever see violence in any of it, and I was brought up by that thought with John and Yoko, and Paul and Ringo, and all of them have always been that way. So, yeah, I really am very proud to see that he figured that out and got himself away from that. But I really feel like I'm rambling. I just wanted to say I went and saw it. I was very happy I got to go see it. I wish more people would have been going and seeing it at my theater, because I think that's why it's difficult to get that type of stuff in my area, because unfortunately I don't think a lot of people go to it, and I could see that theaters don't want to host and screen a film like that because of that. I hope more people were going to it than I saw. I suppose this weekend, though, with it being Easter weekend, that's maybe tough draw to get people out to see that the night before Easter. So maybe that was part of it. I know there's showings today, yet as I'm filming this, which would be Easter Day. I'm hoping they get a few more showings, because I know there's another John Lennon film, the Borrowed Time one, coming up on May 2nd. And it's going to be in theaters too. And I'm really hopefully, that Marcus Theaters gets that at the Fargo theaters. I don't think my local theater is unfortunately going to carry it, or is unfortunately not going to carry it. So, but I'd love to go see that one too when that comes out. That looks like it's really good. I don't think it's quite as official as this one from what I'm seeing, but I mean, official enough, I think, and a good enough story that I'd kind of like to see what's going on there too. I really enjoy, any of these documentaries that come out on the Beatles there. So, yeah, I'm sure I'd really enjoy that one too. So hopefully I'll be able to go see that one also when that comes out on the 2nd, and hopefully it'll be in Fargo where I don't have to go too far, or as soon as it becomes available streaming or on Blu-ray or whatever, I'll probably pick up the copy of that or watch it streaming on whichever one of the services it goes to, because it seems like I'm subscribed to them all, so it should be on one that I'll have. So, but anyways, yeah, I just kind of wanted to share what I thought on that, and it really was a touching, good film. It was really cool getting to see that history. It's sad seeing that history is still repeating itself. Unfortunately, don't think it ever won't, and it kind of brings you down a little, but it also makes you feel, yes, I got to get out there and say something about it, and it still is worth getting out and saying something about it. So, peace and love, as Ringo says, and yeah, it's tough to hear it all the time, and it seems like the same stuff keeps happening, but we got to keep saying it, because maybe one day people will wake up to it, right? So anyways, I'm going to get fully signing out, though. Before I do, once again, I want to thank all my subscribers, and thanks to any new subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And do hit the notification bell so you know when I got new videos coming out. Also, please give the video a like. It really does help out the channel. And like I always say, if you've stuck around to this point, you must like it. So please give it a like, and do leave a comment. I love having a discussion with everybody. Let me know your thoughts on the one-to-one John and Yoko film. Did you get a chance to get out and go see it? Did you see it in IMAX a couple of weeks ago, or did you see it just recently in the wider theatrical release? Or are you just waiting for it to come streaming? It should be on Max. I did see flat out HBO documentaries, so that would be Max that would be carrying that. So hopefully soon that'll be on Max, and we can watch it again for those of us that have seen it, or watch it for the first time. So yeah, let me know if you're excited to see it. It's a good film, very good film, great history, and I think a lot of people will be moved by it. I really do. All right. But anyways, I am Beatles Destino, and I'm going to get signing out. I'm signing out.